Welcome to another episode of Chat GDB. Here we cover news, views, reviews, and a lot more. Today, all the teachers from the economics department have come together to ease out all the last minute confusions with regards to the ISC economic exam. I am Oyana De and I have today with me Ma'am Krishna Mukherjee and Sir Chandra Prakash Pandey, and together we are going to discuss the ways and the various last minute techniques to handle the ISC examination. So we'll start with the first question today. It is primarily generally opinionated that microeconomics is a little more challenging than macroeconomics. I would want to ask ma'am what is her take on that.
Okay. First of all, microeconomics is all about small units and let's take the chapters like demand, supply, cost, profit, maximization, market, and all these areas. So it's more related to concepts, implementation of diagrams with the concepts, calculations. So students sometimes find it a little difficult, but then macroeconomics, when we talk of, we have theoretical chapters like commercial bank, we have say balance of payment, we have fiscal policy, which is governmental economics. So students find it easy to mug up those chapters. But then in microeconomics, we have some easier portions which we have already guided the students how to deal with, and wherever possible to incorporate diagrams. Like if you get a question on what is inferior commodity, explain it with a suitable example. So in that case, we are going to definitely incorporate the diagram.
So, having said that, I would like to now ask Sir, what are the last minute recommendations would you like to give to the students? And with respect to diagrams, should they be drawing the diagram for all the questions or only where they are asked? Maybe regarding the sums on the elasticity, what are the problems and what are the evaluators looking for from the papers? So, let's ask Sir what he has to say about that.
Yes, ma'am. When it is mentioned in the question paper that you have to draw the diagram, then it's very clear that you have to draw the diagram. But there can be many questions where it is not mentioned to draw the diagram.
Right.
But then also you need to draw the diagram. Suppose I'm giving an example. A question is there, explain the backward bending supply curve of labor. It is not mentioned that you have to draw the diagram.
Absolutely.
But without drawing the diagram, it will be difficult to elaborate your answer, explain your answer. So in that type of questions, you need to draw the diagram. Again, with respect to the elasticity of demand sums, many students, what they do, they get the del P as P1 minus P2 or del Q as Q1 minus Q2. So that gives a wrong result. Maybe the final answer will be correct. When they are finding P2, P1, Q2, Q1, they will get the correct answer, but that delta part will be incorrect. So overall, the marks will not be given. So they have to be careful with the negative sign. So when you are doing the sums with the elasticity, with the formula EP is equal to, they should write the minus sign del P, del Q by del P into P by Q with the minus sign. They will proceed with the sum. And they have to keep in mind that delta Q will always be Q2 minus Q1 and delta P will always be P2 minus P1. One more thing I would like to add, ma'am. In the question, if it is given minus 2, then the students have to write minus 2 on the left hand side. If the minus elasticity value is given in negative, then the minus value should be written in the left hand side, and then delta Q by delta P into P by Q, they will proceed with that side, with that sum.
So we can see that the sign is very important, and also it's important that we write the formula in the beginning for elasticity sums. Now my question to ma'am is, ma'am, do you want to add anything to what Sir has said with regards to these questions?
Yes, definitely. Sir said about the minus, which is very important. At the same time, a proper substitution of the values. Even if you're not able to get the answer, does not matter. You will be awarded marks if you have the correct formula and proper substitution of the values. Now, proceeding with microeconomics, some more common error areas we can talk about, like a very simple question related to differentiate between monopoly and perfect competition. Over there, we observe that uh, any kind of difference question, children directly get into the answer and they don't write in the format of caption and explanation of the caption. So they tend to lose scores over there, because if a proper caption is not being explained, then the only out of 6, only 1 is being awarded to the students. These are certain areas which they need to be careful. They can choose 4 point of difference with 4 captions and proper explanation of each caption. That is going to be great help for them to score marks on theory question.
Now, my next question to sir is with regards to the equilibrium questions, especially with regards to indifference curves analysis. What is his take on how to write the long answers? Should there be an introduction, conclusion separately, or whether the diagrams are very important? Let's see what he has to say.
Actually, ma'am, in this question, we find students just writing the equilibrium condition, they are drawing the diagram, and they are just mentioning the equilibrium points. But why the other points are not equilibrium, they are not explaining it.
Yes.
Suppose I am taking the case of indifference curve analysis, how the consumer will attain equilibrium using indifference curve approach.
Right.
So in that case, of course, we expect, the evaluators expect that the students should write little bit of indifference curve, what is indifference curve, what is budget line, then they come to the two equilibrium condition. Both the equilibrium conditions should be mentioned, number 1, number 2. Then they draw the diagram. After the diagram, they have to explain the diagram. Now, while explaining the diagram, what we see that the students just write the equilibrium is attained at a point where the MRS xy is equal to px by py. That is the slope of the indifference curve is equal to slope of the budget line. That is okay. But why other points are not the equilibrium, that should be explained. I mean to say, the students should take a point beyond the budget line, why it is not the equilibrium, inside the budget line, why it is not the equilibrium, then on the budget line, they have to take a point on the budget line, but a lower indifference curve, right? So with that explanation, the answer will be completed. If it is a long question, they have to explain the entire thing, and at the end, in the conclusion, they have to write, so the equilibrium is attained at this point, emphasizing on the equilibrium condition.
Right. So it is important to understand why the other points which are not at equilibrium, which are at disequilibrium, that also needs to be added or incorporated. All right. I would like to ask ma'am if she has any inputs on the same.
Yes, I also want to add over here that in producer's equilibrium, we have diagrammatic questions like supernormal profit, loss, and normal profit, where children generally make mistake with like conditions. First, they need to write the conditions of equilibrium, and then diagrammatically they need to establish the condition. So when they are establishing the condition like MC is equal to MR and MC is cutting MR from below, they need to determine the output. So with respect to this output only, what will be the relevant average cost on the basis of which profit, loss, or normal profit is being determined.
Right.
So sometimes students do not say calculate the MCMR equilibrium point as the equilibrium output, and then they make mistake over there for the identification of the total amount of profit. This is one part. And second thing is that while they are drawing the diagram related to profit, supernormal profit, they should make sure that MC should cut through the minimum point of AC. That is also one of the specification required for the answer.
I would also like to add one point, ma'am. With respect to whether the question is from supernormal profit, normal profit, or from loss, the students should show the calculation of profit, loss, that should be shown. That carries marks, right? And one more thing, like when they are drawing the diagram for the loss, if they don't draw the AVC, it's difficult to understand whether they are showing the shutdown point or loss. So in that case, drawing of AVC curve is very important.
Now, coming to macroeconomics, especially with regards to questions regarding theory of income and unemployment, I would like to ask sir, where are the areas where the children make most the mistakes basically, and also what is his recommendations to make sure that they avoid the same?
In the chapter from theory of income and employment, some numericals are given, right? So they have to be careful with the formulas. Formulas are simple, formulas are there. They have to apply the formula. The sums can be of 1 marks, 2 marks. So that have to, the formula has to keep in their mind. They have to keep the formula in their mind. After that, coming to the diagram part, like the proper labeling of the diagram should be done. That carries marks. The students, instead of drawing the AD curve, they draw the AD curve, but they label it as AS curve. They draw the AS curve, they label it as AD curve. So that creates a confusion. Maybe their entire answer is correct. They have written it correctly, but they will not get marks based on the diagram because the diagram is incorrect. So the proper labeling should be done. Again, one more thing, when they are drawing the aggregate supply curve, that has to be 45 degree, that has to be marked. If they will not mark 45 degree, then in the case of investment multiplier, if they are explaining the answer of investment multiplier graphically, which has been added in the syllabus last year, in that case they will not be able to show that del y is greater than del I, right? Change in income is greater than the change in investment. For that reason, the 45 degrees mark should be marked with respect to the aggregate supply curve.
Right.
Even the same thing goes for the equilibrium, where AD curve intersects the AS curve, that gives the equilibrium. But the students needs to take a point on the right hand side, on the left hand side, and explain that on the right hand side, AS aggregate supply is more than aggregate demand. That part has to be explained, and then you are coming back to the equilibrium, accumulation of inventories, that part has to be explained overall.
So we can see that the precision is very important. Writing a 45-degree is very important. Labeling, proper labeling is also very important, as sir said. I would like to ask the same question to ma'am. What are her inputs regarding the same?
Yes, the most easiest part of macroeconomics is related to commercial bank and central bank. Over here, we have the quantitative credit control measures. So, generally, the questions are related to how the measures can be used to check the supply of money or to check the credit creation process. So, children generally define the concepts like what is bank rate, but they forget to write about the relationship between raising the bank rate or reducing the bank rate on the credit creation process. So, again, I'm going to insist on this that they need to first define the concept and then please make sure that you write what will be the effect of raising or reducing the different quantitative instrument on the supply of money, that is credit process.
My question to sir is, how does one utilize the reading time very effectively?
Basically, during the 15 minutes of the reading time, the students should go through all the questions. That is a very common thing. The students, they just read the questions many a times without thinking what the answer should be written. But I'll suggest them, when they have an internal choice within the reading time, they should try to understand that which answer should be opted. Like suppose question number 3, A or B. Within the reading time, they should decide. Reading time is meant to decide what are the questions you are going to attempt. Don't waste your writing time thinking there which question, this or that. So reading time, utilize your reading time wisely and think of the MCQs also. Go through the MCQs questions and think of the answer in your mind. If any questions you are getting application based or critical thinking questions, within the reading time you think of the questions and always try to write the answers which you know it best.
Absolutely, this is
right?
very important.
And then continue with it. At last, you go to the questions which you are not sure of. Even one more thing, many students we see that they leave MCQ questions, but MCQ questions does not carry any negative marks, right? So in that case, even if you are not aware of any of the MCQs, you should answer it. You should guess it and answer it. Don't leave any MCQ, right?
Yes.
So I want to wish all the best to all of you. Give your best in the examination, do your best, choose the correct questions, deliver your best wherever you have done your highest preparation. Please give your 100% attention to that. And when the exam gets over, after that, do not think too much about what you have done. You just proceed to your next exam and next preparation. That is going to help you in your next exam.
So from the entire department, we wish you all the very best for the exams. Do well and stay tuned for more such episodes. Till then, this is Chat GD.